Hi, I'm Nimit Brahmbhatt and you are listening to my Not So Profound Thoughts. So today I'll be talking about the LIC IPO, which everyone is interested in it. So let me share you the PPT. So let me first explain you the global scenario by which you will understand why LIC is a good company or a bad company according to your perspective and what is happening to the insurance market itself. So in life insurance business, India is ranked 10th in the world, and India's share in global life insurance market was just 2.73% during 2019. Compared to the previous year, the life insurance premium in India increased by 9.63%, whereas global life insurance premium increased by 1.18%. So overall, we can say that the COVID impacted way too much, and the premium we charged or the Indian market charged was way too much more than the international market. In the non-life insurance business, India is ranked 15 in the world. India's share in the global non-life insurance market was just 0.79% during 2009. Compared to the previous year, the non-life insurance premium in India increased by 7.98%, whereas global non-life insurance premium increased just by 3.35%. So globally, the share of life insurance business in total premium was 46.34%, and the share of non-life insurance premium was 53.66% during 2019. However, the share of life insurance business for India was high at 74.94%, while the share of non-life insurance was 25.06%. So if you look at the global comparison of the share of life insurance versus the non-life insurance, globally, people are taking less life insurance, and as the markets are developed globally or the sectors are organized, more of non-life insurance premium was paid during the 2019. Whereas our Indian market, the consumers are taking more of life insurance premium. Whereas in the Indian scenario, you can understand that our share of non-life insurance was particularly less because our markets are unorganized as of now, and many of the markets are getting organized over a period of time. So let me explain you the insurance penetration and its density. So basically, there are two metrics used. The first is while insurance penetration and the density of it. The insurance penetration is measured as a percentage of insurance premium to GDP. So the total number of insurance premium compared to the GDP, that gives you a per insurance penetration ratio. And the second is the density. Density is calculated as the ratio of premiums to population or the per capita premium. It is a similar manner in which we say that per capita income of a country or per capita income of India is particular amount. In the same manner, the per capita insurance premium is called the insurance density. So let me tell you our Indian insurance history, that insurance penetration till 2017, till 2001 was 2.71% and has steadily increased only to 3.76% in 2019. So you can understand that our insurance or our market are so unorganized and we have so less financial literacy that our insurance penetration is way too much less than the whole global market. Wherein if we compare the 3.76% in 2019, life insurance was 2.82% overall and non-life insurance was 0.94% out of 3.76%. Globally, insurance penetration and density were at 3.35% and at a US dollar with the density of $3.79 per capita premium, we can say. For the life segment, and 3.88%, or I can say for the life segment, it was 3.35%. For the non-life segment, it is 3.88%. And the per capita density, which one can say is for life insurance, it is $379, and for non-life, it is $439 respectively. And the Indian insurance sector, which has currently or historically witnessed a growth between 12 to 15% over 5 to 6 year time horizon. So we can say, and you can also analyze that over a period of last 5 years, the government has been trying to organize the unorganized sector and bringing our labor into an organized market, so we can have a proper data of what is happening to our labor market itself and even the Indian consumers. Thus, we can understand that we have a 12 to 15% insurance growth, or the Indian insurance sector has witnessed a growth because the automobile sector is growing, the two-wheeler, four-wheeler, as well as the real estate is growing. The companies are investing a lot in India, and thus all types of insurance are growing at a pace of 12 to 15% per annum. In terms of the size of the industry in India, we can say that life insurance is 74.94%, whereas the rest, that is 25%, approx 25%, goes to the non-life. So even though the life insurance premium or our market is organizing, there is still so much growth that is left. Still the unorganized market is way too large. That is why the share of non-life premium is just 25% for the overall market. So what roles or what the extra roles during the time frame of 12 to 15 years played a role? So the recent pandemic, as well as the advancements that we see in finance sector with improved digitization, such as you can understand that Bajaj Finance came up with zero EMI, as well as there are fintech startups providing EMIs. They are taking insurance also for coverage of the credit defaults and all. There are banks that are being improved by digitization. The internet penetration is going on. The smartphone penetration that we used to have is way too much more now. And the transformation of non-organized to organized sector. Even the government is also playing a vital role in making the consumers understand that it is time for the India to make digital advancements and grow more toward digital factors, which are the major roles that are playing for the advancement of the insurance sector itself. Even the government schemes and the financial inclusion initiatives have helped in driving the adoption as well as market penetration across all the segments of insurance. So now let's talk about the LIC IPO. So even though the market value or the price band is not being decided as of now from the filing that they have done, so they are deploying around 316 million shares, wherein 5% is reserved for employers and 10% for policy holders who have linked their policy through PAN card. And the one thing that is going to happen is that the government is diluting its stake, and the government wants the LIC to come out with the IPO. So the entire net proceeds will be paid to the government and nothing will remain for LIC, not for the technological development, not for the marketing, or not for any other purpose. So this is what is going to happen, and this is what is mentioned in the offer for sale. So you can see as of now that over the financial year 19, 20 and 21, in comparison to private sector, LIC insurance premium has had a growth, astounding growth. And you can see that LIC insurance, or we can say LIC insurance premium growth, is almost the double that of the private players. If we combine all the private players, we can understand that LIC almost holds a double or twice, or does business twice the market of those of private sectors. So what are the growth drivers that favored in the insurance or LIC's business? So the favorable demographics, we can say, so younger population and the rise in nuclear family, as in two people living together or maximum 3 to 4 are living together in a nuclear family, is driving more insurance coverage. The government programs, the government initiatives, government's Pradhan Mantri Bima Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, which used for zero account balance, also increase the insurance penetration to even the smallest of the consumer. The automobile industry, the strong demand for personal mobility vehicles led to more insurance coverage, either it be two-wheeler, four-wheeler, or three-wheeler. And currently, we are moving to electric. Thus, the strong demand for personal mobility vehicle, especially during the COVID or after the COVID first wave. I can say that after the COVID first wave, more people were buying two-wheelers and four-wheelers to get safety from COVID, and thus the increase in insurance coverage. Also, there has been increase in the household savings. So because the formalization of savings is happening, and the government as well as the private companies, the new fintech startups or any other, or we can say the traditional finance startups such as Bajaj Finance, Bajaj Finserv, are bringing formalization into savings, as well as they are increasing awareness towards the financial products. Thus, the household savings has been increased, and it is leading to increase in the insurance itself. So we can say that only 27% of the Indians are financially literate about the products that are available in the Indian market. We know that almost 70 to 80% of our total Indian market is literate, but out of that, only 27% are financially literate about the products that are available in the Indian market. Where earlier in 2012, you can see that the growth was only 31%, and from 31% of the savings that used to happen in the financial savings, it has increased to 41%. So there has been a 10% increase by the over a period of 8 years. So you can see that over in the period financial year 12, from the laser pointer that I am showing, that people used to invest in physical assets, including gold and silver. And no doubt that consumers were investing in physical assets only because that was the safest, or we can say that people used to hedge against the irregularities, insecurities, the scams that were happening. And only 31% was invested in the financial savings. Now the scenario is changing, and in the financial year 20, 41% is being net saved in financial savings like equity, debts, mutual funds, and other products. And 59% is being saved in physical assets such as gold and silver. And soon, maybe over next 10 years, we can see a reverse thing, or 59% might be in the financial savings and 41% might be in the physical assets that the consumers hold. So what is the LIC business? So LIC business of 2020 was around 6.287 billion, or we can say rupees 4,033 billion. wherein private it was around 2254 billion. So if we bifurcated on the basis of consumer and on the basis of product, let me first explain you based on the customer. You can understand that LIC, that individually people 41% is growing, and the business is 41% of the overall industry, and the insurance that the group is taking is 59%. Even that, in a particular segment, I have given bifurcation of the share of LIC and the private consumers and private companies as in total, in individual, in group, and then again going from individual, whether they are paying single premium, whether they are paying premium regularly. Thus the bifurcation is there, as well as on the product. So products are basically linked products and non-linked products, and in participating and non-participating. Participating products are those wherein the shareholders or the policy holders receive some of the dividends or some of the share of profits in the participating policy, whereas in the non-participating policy, they don't receive that. They don't receive the profits while they are holding the policy. So majorly, as of now, LIC is trying to sell more non-participating policies as of now. So let me explain you the trend in the operating expense. So you can see the overall industry, there has been a growth of 10.4% CAGR, that is compounded annual growth rate. So from 387.8 billion to 634.9 billion, the operating expense for the overall industry over a period of financial year 16 to 21 has been growing by 10.4% CAGR. Whereas in LIC, it is growing less than the industry. It is growing at 9.0% CAGR. And in the private players, it is growing at a pace of 12.1%. So overall, if we compare, then the operating expenses over a period of years, the LIC operating expenses of LIC are comparatively less than 12 than the private players, and has been growing at a lesser pace than the private players. If we look at the comparison with the expense ratio as a percentage of total premium, you can understand that LIC has been maintaining from financial year 8 to 8.5, and in financial year it is 8.7. So it is maintaining a steady operating expense ratio as a percentage of total premium. But if we compare it with the private players, it has been decreasing from 16% to 12.6%. And there might be a time where we can see that it is the same as the LIC is having. The private players expenses reduce so much that the percentage of expense ratio to the total premium might come down to the same as LIC. And another reason why I think the private players expense percentage or operating expense is growing for the overall industry's average, more than the overall industry's average, because the private players are gaining more revenues, are selling more policies than the LIC, and thus that might be the reason that they are gaining at a 12.1% CAGR, that the operating expenses is growing at that pace. So let me tell you the market share of the private life insurance. So there is new business premium and there is total business premium. So let me explain you what is new business premium. New business premium is the present value or the present value of the policies that they have sold, which would yield the value in future, or we can say the present value of all the policies that they have sold in the current year. So if we look at the market share, others as in top, excluding the top 5 players, they have only 11.1%. But if we look at the financial year 21 data, LIC holds a mammoth share or a mega share of 64.1%, wherein the top five players, even combined together, such as SBI Life, HDFC Life, ICICI Prudential, Max Life, Bajaj Allianz, they all hold only 24.8%. So even though the private companies are growing at a more pace, I believe that LIC will still hold a significant position in future. So if we look at total cost ratio as a percentage of premium, the cost of the private players has been decreasing substantially. So from 2.7%, 20.7% to 16.9%, whereas the LIC has maintained a steady total cost to a total percentage of premium ratio of 14.3 to 14.2 percentage, and the overall industry is around 15 to 16%. So in the future, we might see that even the LIC might improve the total cost ratio as a percentage of total premiums, and it might reduce. Or we can see that the private players might be the same or might bring the same total cost ratio as that of LIC. So there are few concerns that I have while discussing the LIC IPO or investing in LIC, where every other player is a private player except LIC. They are growing faster than LIC. From fiscal year 2016 to 21, the total premium for life insurance in the life insurance industry has grown by 18% CAGR for private players, whereas for LIC has been able to grow just 9%. And you can see that it has reduced its percentage share because more number of private players are entering, and in the insurance industry, as they are growing by 18% CAGR, the private players are gaining a share. So if you look at financial year 19, it was 66.40. In 20, it was 66.20. In 21, it is 64.10. No wonder over the period of years, the share might even reduce more than 50%, or the share might get below 50%, or it might be 45, 30, or any amount of share. The other concerns, the new business premium has grown 15% CAGR over the last 5 years, with LIC growing at 14% and private players growing at 18%, as I mentioned. Now, the persistency ratio. So what is persistency ratio? Persistency ratio is when the consumers are paying the companies regularly the insurance premiums. So LIC's persistency ratio lags behind most of its peers as given. In the 13th month, the insurance persistency ratio was 79%. So we can say that over of the 100% of the people that who have paid the LIC or taken the LIC policy, only 79% are paying the premiums in financial year 21. And over a period of time, let's say in 25th month, 37th month, 49th month, and 67th month, it is dropping over the period of months. So in 13th month, the persistency ratio is 79%. It keeps on dropping from 25th month to 37th month, 49th month, and 76th month interval. If we compare it with 13th month persistency ratio with SBI Life and HDFC Life, so in SBI Life, it is being reported at 88%. So, and HDFC Life had reported 90%. So we can say that in SBI Life and HDFC Life, people are paying, or people are consistent with paying the premiums or we can say that they are loyal. Set 90% of the consumers who take HDFC life insurance policies are loyal and are paying them premiums. Whereas in LIC, it is only 79%, and the ratio keeps on decreasing. So this leads to a conclusion that poor persistency and low growth, that is the LIC growing only at 9%, whereas the private players growing at 18%, is going to reduce the earnings in future. At the pace at which they are earning is going to be reduced. So let me explain you with profit after tax, that is in crores. If you look at in March 2019, it was only 957.35, and it has grown to a profit after tax of March 2021 to 2900.57%. So over a period of 10 years, in the first year it grew to 9.75%, 9%, then 10%, then 8%. And from the period after 2017, if we talk about the industry average, that is growing at 12 to 15% and has grown from 12 to 15% over a period of last 5 to 10 years. You can see that from last 5 years, the average growth in the profit after tax of the LIC is way too much less. It is showing in March 2019 that it has grown. The profit after tax has increased by minus, or I can say that it has decreased by minus 12.82%, and then grew to 8.7, then 9, and 0.89 and 6.48. So in 2020, I can understand that even the COVID has impacted, but the private players has gained substantial market share of from 2020 to 2021, wherein if you look at this percentage, the private market or the private players have taken 2% market share, which is a huge number if we talk about in crores. Thus, the other concerns that LIC's value of new business margin was only 9.3% in the 6 month ended September 2021. What is value of new business? So it is the present value of all the business and insurance underwrites in a year, and it can be compared loosely to profit after tax. So as I mentioned, that the value or the margin that LIC is operating is just 9.3%. Whereas if you look at SBI Life, it is operating at a margin of 21.8%. And for HDFC Life, it is highest, that is 26.4%. So LIC is operating on thin margins, and the customers don't tend to stick with LIC for a long period of time, as even the value of new business is going down and affecting the regular flow. So as I mentioned earlier, that LIC's persistency ratio is just 79% for the 13th month. The customers don't tend to stick. It shows that, as well as the LIC is operating at a margin of 9.3% of profit after tax, we can say that. So low loyalty, or we can say that low returning customers, as well as low margins, are one of my concerns, that whether I should be considering LIC for a longer period of time or not. So the last thing that I want to conclude, that even though LIC has been losing some market share, it seems to me that it is natural in the competition that LIC being a private public sector unit and the private players marketing as well as bringing new financial products into the market, there is a lot of opportunity that is present. So if I can say that even if 50% market has to be covered by insurance, there is a lot of opportunity, because the insurance market as of now is under penetrated only to 3% or 4%. And LIC has been able to maintain a substantial market share. So even if in future, even if the share from 64% to 50%, so even if in the future, if the LIC share from 50%, if it comes down to 50%, it would still be a huge amount if the market is penetrated overall from 3% even to 10%. And that's all for today. Thank you.